News Panorama is a TV news magazine program that gives you the story behind the story.
It tells the stories the way they should be told by capturing the larger scale.
It deals with people's deep feelings on issues that, when brought to the fore, ultimately educates, informs, and entertains.
News Panorama. Capture the larger scale.
Nigeria's security over the years has been a source of concern for keen observers of the nation's security situation. Of recent, the security situation of Nigeria has been called to question severally, from political unrest to incessant religious and terrorist groups doing havoc on the nation. How can this be coped? The Cross River State Traditional Rulers Council seems to have an answer. Updates on Lassa fever, sports and POS excessive charges. Welcome and thanks for joining me on the program News Panorama. I am Josephine Efanga.
News Panorama. Capture the larger scale.
If you have just tuned in, you are watching News Panorama. Traditional rulers in Cross River State has expressed concern about the resurgence of insecurity in the country and Cross River State and called for new security strategies to restore peace and stability in areas affected by kidnapping, armed robbery and other illegalities. The report.
Security threats, no doubt, is a concern to nations world over. These threats could be social, such as aggression from a neighboring country, infiltration from a terrorist group, or global economic trends that compromise the nation's socio-economic activities. Insecurity in Nigeria has recently assumed an alarming rate, affecting every facet of Nigerian life with no end in sight. Insecurity is not a problem unique only to Nigeria, as other nations also face the challenges. Unarguably, insecurity has heightened, leading to severe unimaginable social consequences, which has blighted the socio-economic sphere of Nigeria's life. In Cross River State, the traditional rulers are making efforts towards addressing insecurity in the various communities and at the state level. The move was disclosed in Calabar at the Council of Traditional Rulers Chamber, where the royal fathers deliberated on issues bordering citizens and residents of the state. Speaking, the chairman of the State Traditional Rulers Council, Etinyenete Mokonedet, said it was high time to put an end to all forms of illegalities and insecurity in the state. He hinted that as custodians of law and culture, royal fathers in the state will do all it takes to ensure that security returns to Cross River State.
We want a situation where we'll be having clan security committees who will be reporting to the clan head, and they will be reporting to the paramount ruler, who will be reporting to the security committee, who will now be reporting to us at the state level. And then we now share these synergies. Anybody that suspects anybody in any community, they must let us know. We are very serious now than ever before.
On their part, the paramount ruler of Akamkpa, His Royal Highness Obol Agbo-Ewa, and other paramount rulers present suggested that the committee be set up as a matter of urgency, meet with the governor to map out areas of insecurity and close all loopholes. They called on residents to report any suspicious movements or activities within their neighborhoods to the nearest village head or clan head.
Chairman, it's a suggestion. I cannot rule, you know. I would suggest that after today meeting, we still convince that meeting where we hold the paramount. Based on that, we'll be able to set up a committee to battle the security traditionally. We are not against us. All depends on our belief. For those who say church is the best, we can use church to find security better. We are not against it. So there are certain things we find it.
You should tell the government we cannot do it all by ourselves. Like you have suggested, you can set up a small committee to come up with some suggestions, maybe 1, 2, 3, and you can pick one from there and say, okay, discuss with the government and say this is what we take. But I know the way it goes is this thing has gone beyond security agencies. We have to use traditional means. And whatever traditional means you recommend, I stand with this. Thank you.
The committee must sit down with the government of Coast and also map out the strategies to work on that. But the situation whereby at the end of the day, the committee was set up and the goods also within there. We are able to suffer, not government. So if government want to do this security and so on. They said they should make every other provision to be sure we see every other go. So at the end of the day, we are not regretting.
A unanimous decision to find lasting solution to insecurity and subsequently restore peace in the state was agreed. For CRBC News Panorama, I am Josephine Efanga.
Last week, we brought to you reports on Lassa fever outbreak. This week, we will be exploring possible ways to prevent the contamination of our foods from rodents through personal hygiene. Idong Osdesian tells us more. The report.
Prevention of Lassa fever relies on promoting good community and home hygiene to discourage rodents from homes. Lassa fever is a zoonotic disease, meaning that humans become infected from contact with infected animals. The host of Lassa fever is a rodent commonly known as infected rats. With this, there is need to maintain a clean serene. Panorama crew went round houses sampling people's opinion on how their foods are preserved from rodents.
Do you know what Lassa fever is?
Lassa fever, based on what I've read, is an illness that you get from rats.
The symptoms similar to malaria and all those kind of things, but gradually you go either from incubation to full-blown manifestation, which involve vomiting, diarrhea, and stooling, and that is why it kills faster.
So do you think that there are any things that we can do to prevent Lassa fever?
Sanitizers, cleaning your environment, and one of the basic things is rats live with us in our house, so some of us. So for instance, if you wash a plate and you put it in a plate rack, you know, you've cleaned your kitchen, you finish washing, and then you put the plates in the plate rack, and then you maybe go to the room to do something, and then you get hungry, so you want to pick up a plate to dish your food. You need to rinse that plate again, because the few minutes that you were gone, a rat could have stepped on that plate, or could have peed on it, or, you know, could have basically done anything on it.
Mastomy rats are usually found in household, farm settlements and areas where food are stored and processed. Foodstuff and other objects contaminated with rat droppings or urine are the most common route of disease transmission. Effective measures include storing of grain and other foodstuff in rodent-free containers, disposing of garbage far from homes, keeping neat and clean environments free from littered food particles. Others noted.
I was the first case of a health worker working inside the infectious control wards having to get Lassa fever, and immediately I was stripped of my PPE and my uniform, and I was given that of a patient. The psychological trauma was there. The stigmatization in quotes was also there. The family fear was there, and it was a whole lot, which I had to really cope with.
Mrs. Mercy, a farmer, shared that common practice known to promote contamination and transmission of the infection is open drying of farm products, especially along roadsides. This practice is common among rural farmers. Other risk factors and practices associated with the disease include poor community awareness and education, poor housing conditions and maintenance, disposal of food, and unsafe storage. The prevention and control of Lassa fever lies on us from the grassroots level and otherwise. Implement good communities measures that discourage contact with rats should be implemented. For CRBC News Panorama, Idong Osdesian reporting.
Although defined by our diversity that makes us unique, there are a few things that brings us together, breaking through our differences to unite us as one. Football, a sport that has for centuries held the power to break down walls of differences, promoting peace and unity, is one of these. Ifeoma Nekpeta brings details. The report.
Football, also known as soccer in some regions, has gone beyond sport, turning into a transformative tool that fosters unity among diverse groups of people.
Football is a sport that has been played for over 2,000 years and is widely the most popular sport. The importance of football in modern society cannot be overstated. It has become a cultural touchstone, a source of national pride, and a way for people to come together to celebrate their shared interests. Football is much more than just a sport. It is a symbol of community, friendship, and unity, helping to promote cross-cultural understanding entertain and provide platforms for people from different backgrounds to interact with one another. With its widespread popularity, football has become a global language, breaking the barrier of culture, language, and borders, captivating audiences worldwide, creating a shared experience that unites people from different corners of the globe. The sport now serves as a source of pride and identity for communities. In an interview with some respondents, they shared their thoughts on the impact the sport has in unifying people.
You know, football, first of all, is one game that unites people together. Football is one thing that brings country together. Calabar may be fighting with Akwa Ibom, but when it comes to football, there will be unity because that is a game for love, game for love.
First, I'll say football not just unifies people. Football unifies nations, unifies culture, unifies religions and ethnic groups and so on. Football to me is not just a game. It's not just a game you come for fun. Football to me is a way of life. It's a way of unity. It's a way of peace and understanding. Because in football, you have to communicate with your players. You have to understand your player roles. There are plenty roles in football. You have your forward, you have your left back, you have your right back, you have your goalkeeper, you have your defensive midfielder. All these people from different localities, different cultures, different ethnic groups, different religions, working together to achieve a common goal of winning a match or a tournament.
They also advise the government to put in agencies to promote the game.
The government should put in more effort in sports. Like I see right now, more children, more people coming up, more especially like me, I love football, I love playing football. So I think the government should create an academy for the younger ones coming up so that we all can come all as a champion. I think football is one. It's a really good game. It's a game of life.
Football has the ability to break down social barriers and promote inclusivity. Whether played in parks, streets, or professional stadiums, the sport provides a platform for people from different backgrounds to interact, share experiences, and build connections. For CRBC News Panorama, Ifeanyi Peter reporting.
Recall that in December 2023, the House of Representatives warned point of sales operators in the country to stop selling Naira notes and remove charges to customers nationwide immediately. This is even as the House mandated the Committee on Banking Regulation and Digital Electronic Banking to invite the Minister of Finance and National Planning and Budget and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to explain why commercial banks are not paying customers over the counter and ATM. It is a month after that, yet POS operators are still charging high costs, and we wonder why. Blessing Basi brings details, the report.
The recent surge in increments and additional charges at points of sales (POS) due to a shortage of cash has caused frustration among the residents. Long queues at ATMs exacerbate the problem, with respondents expressing their dissatisfaction with the situation. Some individuals who declined to be captured on camera expressed their discontent, highlighting the inconveniences of queuing indefinitely. Customers have registered complaints about the extra charges incurred at POS transactions. According to them, the additional costs have added financial strength, impacting their ability to make essential purchases.
A means of having transaction without going to the bank. And this was introduced by Central Bank of Nigeria to alleviate the pains and sufferings that the commercial bank customers were facing over the years. And it provided or provides a very good option, especially in the rural areas where we don't have enough bank branches to avail the public of these services. We discovered that the POS operation is now not working the way government intended it to work. The charges and commissions have been so raised, and this was first experienced during cash scarcity before the last general election. As a result of cash scarcity, most POS operators hike their charges to meet up the stringent condition they pass through in getting cash.
A POS attendant shed light on their perspective. The attendant mentioned that the extra charges contribute to their earnings, acting as compensation for the time spent waiting in ATM queues to obtain the limited cash needed to conduct their businesses.
If you are into a business, will you just go into a business for just, let me just say, you wake up in the morning, you leave your house. You're leaving your house very early so that at the end of the day, you can have something. Like, again, in every business, there is a loss, but
in response to the growing concerns, Honorable Basi Basi, the member representing Akwaboyo constituency, has initiated a motion in the House of Assembly to address the excessive charges imposed by POS attendants.
Calling on the state government to stop the outrageous charges commission by POS operators in the state. Whereas the point concern, otherwise known as POS, was invented and produced in 2013 by the Central Bank of Nigeria to further drive home its cashless policies, as well as alleviate the financial transaction hookups emanating from the commercial banks. Since the emergence of POS operation has significantly transformed the country's financial sector by assisting the public in resolving banking challenges.
Other members showed support for the motion, emphasizing the need for the state government to intervene and find a resolution to alleviate the financial burden on the residents.
We actually know that CBN is a body charge to control POS operation and banks' financial matters, as far as financial matters are concerned. And we know CBN is the body that regulates POS and all financial transactions in the country. Mr. Speaker, it is agreed that POS has created employment for most Indian population as far as they are concerned in that state.
It is essential to closely monitor and address the concern raised by respondents in order to improve the overall experience of financial transactions in the state and country.
Through collaborative effort and proactive measures, we can work towards alleviating these challenges and creating a more efficient and seamless financial environment for all. For CRBC News Panorama, I am Blessing Basi reporting.
That is all we have on our lineup this week. We hope to be back same time next week. Do keep a date with us. I am Josephine Efanga.